Hello and welcome to RealBand 2014. In this video, we're going to show you some of the great new features in RealBand 2014, and along the way we'll also show you some of the fantastic new RealTracks and MIDI SuperTracks. RealBand is a fully featured digital audio workstation, or DAW, and you can record up to 48 of your own audio or MIDI tracks. But it's so much more than an ordinary DAW. It also has all the power of Band in a Box, allowing you to create audio or MIDI tracks by simply typing in chords, setting the key, meter, and tempo, picking a style, and pressing generate. And that's what I've done with this sample that's playing now. I entered these chords and picked a style that combines our exciting new string quartet RealTracks with this 4-part horn section RealTrack. For previous RealBand users, one of the first things you'll notice is the great new look. This new graphical user interface, or GUI, has been designed to not just look better, but also to improve workflow by putting items in more intuitive places and grouping similar items together. We'll check out various elements of this new GUI throughout the video. We'll also check out some other great new features in this video, such as the enhanced drop area for dragging and dropping audio and MIDI. The exciting new UserTracks feature is another. UserTracks allow you, the user, to make your own audio styles, which can then be played in RealBand or Band in a Box, just like RealTracks, where all you have to do is type in a chord progression and RealBand can play them. I'll also include a quick, easy guide on how to make your own UserTracks later in the video. We'll also get to other features such as support for acid loops, quick previewing of styles, RealTracks and RealDrums, and another major feature that you may have noticed on screen already, node-based volume automation. Let's have a look at that feature right now. You'll notice that for the string quartet track, there is now a blue line immediately under the waveform. This allows you to easily automate the volume level throughout a song. The height of the blue line corresponds to the volume level at that point in the song. You can add a node simply by clicking anywhere on the blue line. This adds a dot to the line with a number value beside it, and that is the node. I'll add a couple more. You can then click and drag on any of those nodes to move them around. You can move it left and right to change its location in time, and you can move up or down to change the volume level. So if I wanted the volume to decrease at this point in the song, I could let go when it's at a lower point. So here the strings are going to get much quieter. And I'll add a couple more nodes a little later to bring this level back up. Now the great thing is it doesn't jump to those volume levels at those times. It gradually moves from the level at one node to the level at the other. If I did want it to jump back up from the low volume to the higher volume, that's no problem. Just move that lower node closer in time to the other or right up to it, like this. So now at this point the volume is going to get gradually lower until it hits this point. It will stay at that level until this point and will then jump up here. I'll play this now, and you can also watch the volume slider move as it goes through these changes. So the strings fade out, and the horns are now much more prominent at this point. I'll show you a few other ways to enter and work with nodes. You'll notice that right now only the string quartet track is showing the volume line. You can access this for any track by clicking on the triangle beside the track. And you can see I now have the horns track volume line available. You can click on that same triangle to hide it again. And another new feature is that you can actually drag the bottom of tracks to set them as high or low as you like. And that's another way to access the volume line. Now, I showed you clicking on the line to create a node and then clicking and dragging to move it. You don't actually need to click twice, you can do it just once. Click on the line and drag to place the node. For example, I'll enter a node on the horns track, and then I'll add and move a node a little further down by simply clicking and dragging. And in this case, I'll actually bring up the level of the horns during the section where the strings get quieter. I'll add another node a little further down. And now I want it to come back down to its previous location, so I'll show you another way of adding nodes. You can actually double-click in the empty area where the line doesn't go through to add a node there, and then single-click to lock it down in that spot. And finally, if you double-click where there is currently a node, that removes the node. I'll add another here, but then I'll remove it by double-clicking on it again. Another way to edit or remove nodes is to right-click on them. I'm now going to show you one of the most anticipated new features in both RealBand and Band-in-a-Box 2014, UserTracks. UserTracks are a way to allow you, the user, to create your own audio styles, which work very much like RealTracks. You can create your own UserTracks, say for example a guitar groove that you like to play, or a bass line that you use all the time, or any other style on any other instrument. All you have to do is record yourself playing it, take a few simple steps in RealBand or Band-in-a-Box, and then you can have your style available to you and your friends simply by typing chords into RealBand or Band-in-a-Box, picking that UserTracks, and pressing play. I'm going to show this in action with a UserTracks style I recorded myself, a swing 16ths accordion. First, I'll show you the style being selected and used, and then I'll take you back in time and show you the simple steps I took to actually record and create it. Right now I have a song that I entered into RealBand, and I selected a swing 16ths groove to play along with it. I'll play a little bit of that. Incidentally, this uses one of our new RealTracks, this Pop Swing 16ths Bouzouki, which gives the song a nice organic feel to it. Well, I'm going to give the song an even more organic feel by adding my UserTracks accordion. So I'll right-click on a blank track and pick Select and Generate UserTrack. This is the style I made, my accordion UserTracks. I pick it. It takes a little bit of time to generate, and now it's done. And here's how it sounds. And that's how easy it is to use UserTracks. Now I'm going to take you back in time and show you how easy it was to make that UserTracks style. So here I am about to make a UserTracks accordion style. I decided to record a medium slow swing 16ths groove, playing mostly pads or held chords on the accordion. So the first step is to pick a style, and I've already got this swing 16ths groove picked here. But I've got no tracks to play along to right now, so the next step is to enter some chords and then generate some backing tracks in this style. So I'll enter the chord chart, and I'll start typing in some chords with typical pop progressions. I'll start off with C, A minor. Now I skipped ahead in this video to where I was finished typing in my chords, so I now have a 32-bar song with the chords entered in. Now in making UserTracks, you can make a UserTracks style by just recording a single bar of music if you want, or you can record an hour or more of music. But the point is, you record as much or as little as you want. And for me, I'm going to stick to 32 bars of music for now. Maybe another time I'll record more, record some different keys, some more complex chords, and I can always easily add that to my UserTracks later. But for now, I'm going to make a perfectly good, functioning UserTracks style by just recording 32 bars of music. So first, I'll generate the backing tracks. Again, I skipped ahead a little because depending on how many tracks you're generating, it can take a little bit of time, and this took about 30 seconds. So now I'll play a little bit of that. And now I'm ready to record. I'd like to actually see a chart in front of me as I record, so I'll open the lead sheet. Incidentally, here's a new feature, slashes drawn onto empty bars instead of rests. And these slashes show up on the printed page too. So I'll be reading from a printed sheet. And I pick a track. I'll set mine to mono. And I'll start recording. I skipped ahead in the video again to the end of the recording, so now I have these 32 bars plus an ending recorded. If I had made any mistakes, I could use the punch-in feature to just fix certain portions of the take. With the new GUI, everything to do with transport is now in this one place, with record and other options related to recording, punch-in. And when punch-in is not enabled, these arrows are gray, but when it is enabled, they turn blue. The metronome. I had the metronome off there because there was a drum track with a count-in already present. So the P for play and R for record are colored gray, but if they are on, they also appear blue. And looping, which also is gray when off, is blue when it's on. But I was happy with my take, so no punch-ins required. And so now I simply have to save this. Now in order for this to work as a UserTracks style, I have to save it as a band-in-a-box song. This way the chord progression is saved, and since I've recorded an audio track, that gets automatically saved too. Now I need to first navigate to my band-in-a-box folder. I have it in its default installation folder, CBB. This is where yours would be if you followed the default installation and you didn't have anything particularly unique about your computer setup. But if your band-in-a-box installation was in a different location, that's where you'd go. Once in this folder, I go to the RealTracks subfolder and then to the UserTracks subfolder. Now I need to create a new folder here, and the name of the folder will be the name of the UserTracks style. I'll call it My Accordion UserTracks. And then I save my song there. The name of the file is irrelevant. You can call it whatever you want. I'll call it Accordion Song 1, because who knows, maybe I'll record more later. If I do, I can keep saving them here, and I can call them my accordion song 2, my accordion song 3, etc. And each time I add a new file, they'll automatically get added to my style, and it'll just keep getting better and better. Now, when I save, there's just one quick thing I still have to do. The melody and soloist tracks are irrelevant here. They would only be used if I recorded MIDI. But I recorded audio, so I have to specify which track I recorded my accordion on, and that was track 6. Now, if I look in Windows Explorer and find that location, you can see it's actually saved 2 files. Accordionsong1.sgu is a band-in-a-box formatted song and contains the chords we entered. Accordionsong1.wave is the actual raw audio of the accordion track. And that's all you need to do. This UserTracks style is now ready to use in RealBand or in Band-in-a-Box. So earlier in the video I showed this style in use, and I'll show you it again in a few other settings. Here it is in RealBand along with some smooth jazz RealTracks. And of course, once those 2 files were saved in the UserTracks folder, that also automatically made the UserTracks style available in Band-in-a-Box too. So here it is in Band-in-a-Box, now in a more electric rock setting. Right now I have one of our new MIDI SuperTracks styles playing, Electric Clav, playing a cool 70s groove. The pianist is the legendary Nashville musician John Jarvis. The sound here is one of our new high Q or high quality sounds, which includes several electric piano sounds, vintage analog synths, and other exotic instruments. I'm going to use this demo to show off some of the features of the brand new GUI, starting with the enhanced drop area. You can drag tracks to this area to create audio or MIDI files of them, and then these in turn can be dragged into other DAWs. In the past, however, it was just a single drop area. Now you can drag tracks to any of 4 corners of the drop area to get different kinds of files. Wave, M4A, WMA, or MIDI. So I'll show you with this piano. As I mentioned, it's using the high Q electric clav sound. So an audio render will use that sound as well. If I drag it and drop it here on the wave area, I wait until it turns green. I'll then go into DAW plugin mode, which turns RealBand into a small floating window, and then I could drag it from there into a DAW or into Windows Explorer. And I'll do that. And we can see that it's a wave render of the piano track using the high Q sound. And of course you can do the same with audio tracks. Drag them into wave and you get a wave file. Drag them into M4A and you get an M4A file. But since this is a MIDI track, if I want an actual MIDI file, I can drag it to the MIDI area. And I now have a MIDI file which I can, again, drag into a DAW, Windows Explorer, or a notation program like Sibelius or Finale. Here are the newly released New Orleans Swing and Pop RealTracks, with bass, drums, piano, and guitar, all available in RealTracks Set 200. While these are playing, I'm going to show you around the rest of the new GUI. Not only does it look better, but it's a lot easier to use with similar buttons grouped together. For example, all of the functions related to loading and saving files are under a specific file heading. There's a specific area for editing tools here. All of the views are now organized in a much more intuitive and descriptive way. The views that are related to all tracks, such as the Tracks view, Chords view, Mixer, Bars, and the tempo and meter maps. These are all at the very left, and then at the right with this separator line are the views that relate to specific tracks. For example, here's an audio edit window for the bass track. Here again, buttons are grouped in categories: Perform with Jukebox and Conductor, and MIDI with everything to do with MIDI setup, playback, and more, and a help area. In the song area is everything to do with your currently loaded song. For those of you who have worked with the new version of Band in a Box, you'll recognize this great new Style button, with every manner of selecting Band in a Box styles all rolled into one easy-to-use button. The bottom part gives you all the options, and it lets you choose which of these are the default. If you press the top part of the button, it uses the default method that you chose. In my case, the classic style picker. We'll look at the Style button in more detail a little later. Everything else related to the current song is here too. Title, style name, key, meter, tempo, the place to tap the tempo, the song form, song settings, comments, and a single generate button with many options for generating Band in a Box tracks. Then finally we have the audio area, a handy place for putting markers in your song, and various utilities. At the bottom is the transport, which we looked at earlier. A nice big display for the current time with a handy scroll bar to take you to any point in the song. The selection display, and a VU meter for input and output, along with a master volume slider and additional audio settings. The next feature I'm going to show you is the new support for acid loops. Acid loops are audio loops that have information about the loops, such as tempo and key, embedded in the file itself. RealBand and Band in a Box now are able to read this additional information, making it very easy to insert these types of loops into your song and have them sound great and match the chords you've entered. For example, I downloaded some free loops from acidplanet.com, and it included this trumpet loop. I've placed it in my Band in a Box folder in the RealTracks Loops subfolders. And when you do that, it appears as an available loop in both Band in a Box and RealBand. I've got a jazz rock song loaded, so I'd like to try adding that loop to this song. I'll play a little bit of what this groove sounds like right now. And now I'll add a loop to an unused track. Here is the loop in question that we listened to earlier, and I'm selecting that. And you can see all the pertinent information is already here, even though this is the first time I've opened it in RealBand, because RealBand read it directly from the file. It's 4 beats long, at 94.284 beats per minute, and it's B flat based. So with just that info, I'll press OK, and I'll play it. And as you can see, it just automatically follows the chord progressions I entered. The last thing I'm going to show you will be the new dedicated previewing feature, which is present in the Style Picker, the RealTracks Picker, and the RealDrums Picker. We looked at the Style button earlier, and I pointed out that you could set the default function of that button. Mine is set to the classic Style Picker, so if I just press the main part of that button, that's what I get. Now, as you can see under the Style Picker, when I move it, I've entered a jazz progression in the chord chart. So I want to find a good jazz ballad rhythm section to play those chords I entered. With Band in a Box and RealBand 2014, we've added many new poll winner RealTracks with legendary jazz musicians, including bassist Ron Carter, pianist Kenny Barron, saxophonist Phil Woods, guitarist Pat Martino, and more. We have jazz swing, bossas, and jazz waltzes for all of these. But RealTracks Set 196 includes rhythm section styles specifically for jazz swing. I'm going to go to the RealTracks Set 196 category to see what styles are there. Now I can see that in this category there are 3 styles, and the written descriptions tell me there's a fast jazz swing, a jazz ballad, and a medium jazz swing style. But it's one thing to read a description and a whole other thing to actually hear a sample of what it's going to sound like. In the past, we did have audio samples to listen to, but it would open in a separate program and sometimes take a while to load, which could really interrupt the workflow. Now, however, there's a dedicated player right here. So with a style selected, you can listen to a sample of it, either by clicking the player controls here, and now we're listening to the jazz swing, or you can just double-click on the style itself to hear the sample. I'd like my song to be a slow jazz ballad, so I'll select this one. And now I'll go to the Generate button. There are many options, but I'd like to generate all of the instruments for this style. And now we have a beautiful, classy rhythm section playing the chord progression I entered, with Ron Carter on bass, Kenny Barron on piano, and Lewis Nash on drums. Now I'd like to add a RealTracks Soloist to this. One of our most popular new additions to the RealTracks roster is saxophonist Phil Woods. He is well known as one of the greatest jazz alto players and is also well known in the rock pop world as having played the iconic solo in Billy Joel's Just the Way You Are. We can see there are several options available here. There's the bossa with bluesy and double time variations available, and there's jazz swing, also with bluesy and double time variations available. Again, it's one thing to read them, and a whole other thing to hear samples. Again, here we have a player, or we can just double click to sample them. I'll try sampling the bluesy variation of the bossa. In this variation, all major or major 7 chords are treated as dominant 7 chords, which means the flat 7 will be played in the solos over major chords, giving it a bluesy feel. And here's the medium jazz swing soloist. If I let it play all the way through, after this is finished, it will keep playing with a sample of the sax alone by itself. Or I can skip to that quickly by pressing this button. And now I'll try sampling the double time variation of the jazz swing style. You can see that it was recorded at 140 beats per minute. But here it's treated as 70 beats per minute. My song is 80 beats per minute, so this would be a great soloist to use because the stretch from 70 to 80 is hardly anything to the superior stretching algorithms in RealBand. So I'll select that. And now we have a great sounding soloist with a great rhythm section backing it up. And it was all easy to find, and I got exactly what I wanted by listening first. The same goes with the real drums dialogue, and it's not just samples of the real drum styles, but it's samples of every single variation. We hope you enjoy the great new look and all of the exciting new features in RealBand 2014. Have fun!